A stranger walked into my diner and never left my mind. Every time I called him sir, his smile said he knew what I really wanted. But when his past caught up, I had to choose: run with him or lose him forever. Welcome to Blind's Thoughts. Please don't forget to subscribe and comment. The first time I met Caleb Reed, I nearly poured coffee into his lap. He'd come into the diner at the far end of town on a Monday morning, all rain and silence. The place smelled of bacon grease and new beginnings. I was 2 weeks into a job I wasn't sure I wanted. I remember the way he leaned against the counter. Steady, self-contained, a man used to weathering things that didn't have names. "Coffee, please," he said. His voice was calm, gravel-low, and it hit somewhere under my ribs. I fumbled the pot, almost tipping it over. He caught the handle, his hand brushing mine, steadying, grounding. "Careful, miss." "Yes, sir." The word slipped out before I could stop it, and he smiled. Not the polite kind, the kind that said he'd heard more than I'd meant to say. He came back the next day and the one after that. Same booth, same order. Black coffee, cherry pie, a notebook he never opened while I watched. Our town didn't get many mysteries, but he carried one with him like a second skin. By the second week, I learned his name from the register slip. Caleb Reed. That name sat in my mind like a secret. He started noticing things. How I twisted my hair when I was thinking, how I stared out the window when I wanted to be anywhere but here. "You've got the look of someone who's been somewhere bigger," he said once. Maybe I have. "And you left in a hurry." He was right, though I didn't tell him about the ex-boyfriend who'd turned promises into bruises, or about how I'd come back to this small town to remember what peace sounded like. One night, a storm rolled through. Thunder cracked close enough to shake the plates on the shelves. The lights flickered, died, and we were left in candlelight and the hush of rain on the roof. "Guess you're closed," Caleb said. "Guess so." He stood, the shadows painting his face in amber and gold. "You shouldn't be alone out here." "I'm fine," I lied. "Maybe," he said, "but I'd feel better walking you home." I almost told him no. But something in his voice, something careful, made me nod. We stepped out into the storm. Rain turned the streets to mirrors. His jacket ended up over my shoulders before we reached my porch. When I handed it back, our fingers touched again. For a heartbeat, everything in me leaned forward. "Good night, sir," I whispered. That smile again, quiet, knowing. "Good night, Annie." The weeks that followed folded around us like pages in a book. He fixed the coffee machine one morning, helped restock shelves when the truck was late, and always stayed until closing. He told me he was a writer, travel essays mostly, but his eyes gave away that there was more to the story. Then one afternoon, a black SUV rolled up outside the diner. 2 men in suits stepped out, scanning the room like it owed them something. Caleb froze. For the first time, I saw fear flash across his face. "Everything okay?" I asked quietly. "Yeah," he said too quickly. "Just old business." When the men left, he waited another 10 minutes before breathing again. Later that night, he found me wiping down tables. "If anyone asks, you don't know me." The words hit cold. Should I be worried? No. But I should be gone. He didn't leave, not yet. We started talking in the small hours after closing, about cities we'd both dreamed of, about running away and starting over. He never explained what he was hiding from, but one night he pressed his hand over mine and said, "Sometimes you tell the truth by what you choose not to say." The air between us changed after that. He'd look up when I passed, his eyes following like they were memorizing something he wasn't allowed to touch. When I called him sir, he'd smile, that same quiet smile, and I'd feel the pull between us sharpen until it hurt. The storm came back 3 weeks later, heavier this time. The diner windows shook. I was closing early when Caleb burst through the door, soaked to the bone. "They found me," he said. "I didn't want to drag you into this." I locked the door behind him. "Tell me what's going on." He hesitated, then, "I used to work for a man who made enemies. I saw something I shouldn't have, and now those enemies think I'm a problem that needs solving." I didn't know what to say. Outside, headlights swept across the glass. 1, 2, then stillness. He looked at me, jaw tight. There's a back door. Go. Now. I shook my head. Not without you. For a long second he didn't move. Then he took my hand, his fingers cold but steady. We ran through the kitchen, down the alley, into the rain. Behind us came the sound of a door breaking open. We reached his truck at the edge of town. The windshield was cracked, the dashboard cluttered with old maps. He drove until the lights disappeared behind us, until the world turned to dark fields and endless road. At a gas station outside Riverbend, he finally stopped. The silence between us was louder than the rain. "I'm sorry," he said. "You deserved better than to be pulled into my mess." "I don't care," I said. "Just don't leave without saying goodbye." He looked at me, eyes fierce and soft all at once. "You don't know what you're asking." "Yes, I do." He reached out, brushed a strand of wet hair from my cheek, and everything that had been building between us broke open. He kissed me once, gently, enough to say everything we hadn't dared to say. Then he pulled back, trembling. "If I stay," he whispered, "they'll find you too." And then he was gone. For 3 months I didn't see him. The diner went quiet again. The only trace of him was a folded piece of paper under the counter. Inside, in his careful handwriting, "Sometimes running isn't about fear. Sometimes it's about coming back when it's safe to stay." I carried that note everywhere. Then one September morning, the bell over the door rang. I looked up, heart stumbling. There he was, Caleb, a little thinner, a little more human, smiling like the world had finally exhaled. "You kept the place just the same," he said. "I was waiting." He nodded, eyes bright. "It's over. They're gone. I came back to finish what we started." I walked around the counter before I could think. He caught me halfway, his hands finding mine the way they had the night we ran. The world outside moved on. Cars, sunlight, morning chatter. But inside that diner, time finally caught up with us. When I called him sir again, it wasn't a habit. It was a promise. And this time his smile didn't hide a thing.